Your new life is going to cost you your old one. What that means is what you're doing now, the way you're living right now, you're going to have to change it completely if you want to level up. Um, that is something that I'm actually going through right now, and it's something that I've had to go through several times. Each time was to improve myself and to live a better life. Um, so a very obvious example of that most people go through is when you graduate high school, right? So you have this life that you're living where you start high school, you create a whole new group of friends, you begin to find yourself, you mature through that time, from ninth grade through 12, and you start kind of finding what kind of topics and subjects do you really like studying. You start thinking about college and what kind of a career you may want to have. You find what kind of maybe sports you're interested in and instruments do you like to play and that kind of thing. But then when you graduate, suddenly you're somewhat adrift and you have a whole new set of options. Before you're an adult now. You can choose to go to college, you can move out of your parents' house, you can get an apartment, you go to a trade school, maybe start working in a job or a career rather than going to college. So your life changes. And the same thing applies as an adult, as the person you are right now, watching this video saying, I want to move on to something new. I'm the same person. I'm the same as you. I've gone through that change multiple times as an adult, and I'm going through it right now. And you're going to decide if you are ready to end the partying, if you're ready to drop the drugs and the drinking, if you're ready to do the hard things to make yourself a tougher person who can handle the amount of responsibility you're going to need to be able to take in order to level up your game. So if you want to become wealthy, you want to become a millionaire, you want to make six figures, whatever it is that you're trying to do, you're going to have to buckle up and get stronger in order to be able to handle that level of responsibility. In my case, I went through a phase where I moved from being a bouncer in New York. I did that for many years. That was a phase of my life that, while enjoyable, it was obviously not going to be a career, and it was extremely dangerous. But I was in a phase of my adult life where it was, while the work was fun and I was enjoying the life that I was living, it was obviously not something I was going to make a career out of. And so I had to move out of the partying, nightlife lifestyle of that phase of my life, and I had to go into monk mode when I moved out of New York and decided to go back to college to educate myself and to become somebody who's working in a much more intellectually stimulating environment, which is in the white collar world, something that I've always wanted to do. And so I was either going to go into finance or corporate law. I decided to go into finance because I, in my late 20s, was more interested in getting straight to work and rather than taking the time to go to law school. And even though I kind of went into like a monk mode where I really got rid of my social life and was focused entirely just on me, my education, having high grades. I figured out what job I wanted to work, which was in strategy consulting at a top firm. When I made that decision, I was super focused just on doing that. The problem is that I also neglected my body. I kept bad habits in a form of drinking and video gaming to kind of as a form of escapism and a form of relaxation from the stress of working multiple internships, multiple jobs in finance, and going to school full time. Super stressful, right? Studying for exams at work, that kind of stuff. It was not great. I remember I had this one job in at a big corporation where in between like working my finance job, I was also studying for the GMAT, which is a graduate exam, and it was pretty stressful doing that kind of thing. But like I said, I kept my bad vices and I kept my bad habits. And while I achieved my goals and achieved my dreams of getting into corporate and financial consulting, I still had bad. I still had those bad habits, and I realized that I want to actually level up and move beyond that, move beyond the six figures that I'm currently making, and get into make a lot more than that. Ideally, want to get into six figures a month with a business, and while I'm building that business, I've had to move into the current phase of my life, which is one where I'm actually going back to being very social. So I'm talking to a lot more people, spending more time with people every weekend and during my lunches. But I've also, excuse me. Had a really bad pain in my chin. But also I've had to get up early, do early morning wake up, fix my body, get myself healthy again, and feeling a whole lot better doing that. So I've had to say goodbye to my previous lives, and while it's hard to kind of break out of your comfort zone, and it really is fucking hard. I mean, right? Some people, they have to move out of the country. Maybe they have to break up with a spouse or a girlfriend or something like that. But it's you're gonna have to do it, and if you're hyper aware of the fact that you're doing it, you're gonna have better results from it. In my case, I'm very, very conscious. I made a very conscious decision, a very intentional decision to say goodbye to my old life and to move on into my new one. And you're gonna have to do the same thing.